Okay, I see people are joining right now. Welcome to the welcome or Wellness Wednesdays this week. Hello, Naomi and Kimmy. I see that you joined. Maddie, Naomi and Maddie are peer educators actually. So, welcome everyone. Yeah, so we're just gonna wait for a few more people to join, and we're gonna get started. Hope everyone is doing well during this time. Today, our topic is going to be on stress and anxiety. I'm sure a lot of us are feeling that way. I definitely feel that way. And so we're going to talk a lot about it today with our peer educators, but just right now, practice breathing, practice being with yourself. I'm sorry, someone went in my room. It happens. Okay, so I see that there's 6 people in here right now. And something that I want to start before we actually start in that discussion and inviting our peer educators in is I want us to just start with a exercise of kind of being present with ourselves and just acknowledging these past few weeks. So if everyone can close their eyes and put their hands around their arms, actually, if you can do that right now. And as you're closing your eyes, just think about these past few weeks, or these past few days even. If a lot of stuff happened, just start processing, start thinking about what happened. And just really think about how you've responded to all the things that have happened. And then start patting yourself, because you need to remember that you tried your best. You did your best in those situations, and you did amazing. Honestly, in the situations that we're in, it's really hard to respond correctly, and I'm sure you did amazing. And so you need to acknowledge yourself and encourage yourself. And as you guys are doing that, I'm actually going to be, so feel free to continue doing that. I will be adding our peer educators in. And our first peer educator is actually going to be Maddie. She works with the counseling center as well, and she's going to be requesting soon. And I think she's going to join right now.
Hi guys.
Maddie, what's up?
Hello. So my name's Matt, and I'm also a peer educator with Oscar. And I'm really excited. I wish I could see you all in person, but this is really cool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a little bit about anxiety and stress during this time. It is midterm seasons for a lot of us. And so how has that been for you?
I actually have a midterm in literally like right after this at 2 p.m. and
Oh
I
my
am
God.
so nervous about it. It's like a big test, but I think it's gonna be okay. Like I think I'll
Mhm.
get hopefully, and it'll be fine.
Yeah. No, and that's the right mindset to have. A lot of times we get so stressed out about these tests and we start saying negative things to ourselves,
Yeah,
and that makes us more nervous. So I'm glad you have that. Um,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
How are,
I actually have a midterm tomorrow, so I'm pretty nervous about that too, but I'm gonna try to study today and get all the preparation in. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, nice. Nay has that class with me too.
Oh,
So
good luck, everyone.
we're ready.
Yeah, so I'm going to be sharing a little bit about like my ways of coping during this time, because I've actually been reflecting a lot about how I can better manage my time, manage my stress during this time. And since I do feel very overwhelmed with just the things happening in this world, as well as my personal life, I've developed some, and I've asked actually a lot of professors for some tips with coping and learning how to manage those stresses or their stressors. And so one of the biggest things that I learned recently, actually yesterday, because I had a conversation with my professor, is I tend to, I don't know if some of the people joining have this habit as well, but I tend to look at my assignments as a huge, huge assignment. I look at them as a huge block instead of actually dividing them into segments. And so I tend to get so overwhelmed. And I realize because it's so big and it feels like it's such a massive task in my head, that I it takes so much more energy and physically and mentally to even start on it. And so I think that has contributed to my lack of motivation during this time to study, stay organized, and that has affected my sleep and all of these things. And I definitely haven't been self-caring as much as I should have. But I'm learning to develop these coping mechanisms and these healthy habits. And so yeah, I'm trying to today I'm gonna be working on it as well. I started on it yesterday, but I'm just dividing my big assignments and my big tasks because I am applying to grad school as well this semester, and there's a lot of external thoughts that I have as well. So I'm trying to divide those big assignments and those big tests into smaller segments so I can accomplish those and so I can feel fulfilled when I finish those smaller tasks rather than seeing it as a huge task that seems unattainable.
Yeah. It's so much easier when it's like little bites and not like a huge meal. Like it's so hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see some people in the chat that are kind of relating as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Um, yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like I feel so overwhelmed too. Like it's so easy to like just keep pushing it off now that we're home. I feel like because we're like we're
hmm
home, like TV's right here. Like I'm just gonna do this instead, and it's so hard to like make time specifically for school. Like sitting in your bedroom, like it's so different.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like although I've been a commuter and I live at home with all the distractions that are already here, it's still really difficult. It's even more difficult with quarantine because um, just there's so many things going on in the world and the notifications that pop up and so it is if anyone is feeling anxious or stressed about that, I'm there with you and it makes a lot of sense to feel that way, you know. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I just wanted to share one last tip that I have for stress and anxiety coping, and this has worked for me throughout quarantine. I'm actually really passionate about music and art, and I've actually been able to utilize those hobbies into something that's become very refreshing in my life. And during quarantine, it was a lot of individual time, and I'm used to being at school and talking to a lot of people and filling up my schedule, but having more time to myself, I realized that I was overthinking a lot, and I was thinking a lot about I was looking up a lot of like the news, and it was just stressing me out. And having those outlets through our hobbies, it was so helpful. Um, so yeah, that's just one of my tips during this time, especially since it's midterm seasons. Although you might feel like you already don't have time to study, maybe doing some hobbies will actually be helpful because it will give you that release of tension, and so you can be better focused when you're studying.
Yeah, it's yeah, crazy times.
hmm hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, would
yeah,
you like to share some of your coping mechanisms?
yeah. So for me, I don't know about anyone else, but lockdown browser is literally so much more stressful than taking a test in like real life, and I don't know
Mm,
why. I don't know if it's because I feel watched. I don't know, but it is so much harder. Like the first test I took on lockdown browser was like my final for like my stats class last semester, and everything went wrong. Like the Wi-Fi wasn't working. My computer decided to restart in the middle of it. My dad was watching football and it was so loud, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm gonna fail. This is the worst." And I literally sat on that lockdown browser and I was crying into my camera because I was so stressed.
no.
I bombed the test and I knew it. Like I knew the material and I was so sad. And so
hmm
ever since then, I've been like, we can't do that again. Like, I'm not gonna cry on the camera for my professors. Like, that's not what we're doing. So I've started to like take more time for tests to practice lockdown browser, and like
That's
maybe
good.
it's not gonna freak out on me and make me fail. And
hmm
I instead of like studying right up until the last second. I think what helps me is I like play a game on my phone right before the test, which I know that some people really like cramming, and I think that doesn't work for me. So I'll
Hmm.
literally like sit there with lockdown browser open, ready to go, and I'll play this really dumb pancake game that I have on my phone. It's so useless. It does not help me at all. But I literally am just like, yeah, this is how I like ignore it for a second. And now I literally like I know it's kind of annoying because like people want to do what they want to do at home, but I'll walk around and I'll be like, you can't watch football right now. You can't listen to this. Turn down your music for an hour. Like just be quiet. And I think that that really helps. But yeah, for
Hmm.
me, like I am really studious, so failing a test, especially a final, was like a really big deal. And
Hmm.
I think I just had to remind myself that like that one final, like that's not my whole life. And
Hmm.
that's just really hard. So
Yeah.
I just feel like, one final, one test, one class, like that's not the end of the world. And even though it kind of sucked, like it happened and it's okay. It's okay now. So
Yeah. I love no, I love that. I love that you're taking time for yourself before the test rather than cramming. I do
y-
think that feeling like not all those text anxiety before a test might help you retain the information actually.
yeah,
Um,
I really think I feel like when you cram right before I forget everything else that I like learned too. Like all
yeah.
for that one thing that I read right beforehand and that's it.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some people in the chat who is relating with you in that a lockdown browser has been a bad experience.
Yeah.
And I relate with you too with that because I had my first one last semester when we transitioned. It was
Hmm.
horrible. So yeah, it's definitely something to adapt to and learn. But I'm
Yeah.
glad that that has been something that you've been able to get better at, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It
Mhm.
was rough at first. It's a little bit better now. Still not the best, but we're doing it. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I love how like you play games before your exam. For me, what works is I actually pray and because faith is important to me, I try to center on God during that time. But of course, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can draw. You can
Yeah.
just I've heard people just breathe before a test, and that can be helpful as well. And so whatever works for each individual.
Naomi asked if there's anything we do to make it be like, okay, I'm going to study and not put it off. I actually do have something for this. I am a big to-do list fan. I don't know if anyone else is, but I've always like my life lives on these to-do lists that I like color code and put all over the place.
Hmm.
And so I like literally put it on my to-do list and I like put study for like this X amount of time for X class. And if I don't do it and I don't cross it off, I feel unaccomplished and I like can't cheat myself, so I have to actually do it to cross it off. And that's how I stay, like make time for it.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that I'm actually trying to work on. Earlier, I talked about breaking my larger assignments into segments. It's because they're too big sometimes that you can't cross it off, and then you feel ashamed, you know? So, definitely like starting with attainable goals each and every day can help us finish our tasks, you know, little by little. And then Peachy Jazz said, setting alarms can be helpful to keep some structure.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I also have all my social media apps on like timer or whatever it is, because it's so easy to like sit in your online class and just scroll through Instagram. Never do that. Don't do that. It's wrong.
Hmm.
But like, easy too. So I'll literally put timers on my Instagram and like Twitter and all that, so I can only like scroll through it for like a certain amount of time. And if
Yeah.
I do it for too long, it's like you're done with Instagram for today. Try again tomorrow. And then that kind of just makes me be like, oh, I guess time to do homework.
Yeah, no, that seems like such a good way of like kind of limiting yourself from your social media because social media can be easily something it's easily distracting but also easily time consuming. And so like putting those time limits will help you with your other tasks.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, if anyone has anything to add in the comments about anything that we're talking about, things that are working for you, we would love to learn more. And I'll try to keep updated with the chat as well.
Mm.
But yeah. Um, Another topic that I wanted to talk about was working out. Um, I didn't work out actually at all for a lot of quarantine and for a long time. Um, Even though I think a lot of us know how beneficial workouts can be, and working out during this time can be for our mental stability, all of these things, and even like coping. But it's hard to actually do it. Similar to what Naomi said, and Naomi's actually in our chat. She's actually one of our peer educators too. But she talked about how it's hard to get motivated to do something, or okay, I'm gonna study and I'm gonna do it, but you don't actually do it. And it's similar to working out. And something that has worked for me is because of my spontaneous personality, I literally ask my sister, or if you're living with someone, to go running with you. But also, if you need, just force yourself to block out a time in your schedule just for 20 minutes or 30 minutes if you need to do a longer workout, and just go running or go do a workout or go do some jumping jacks with a friend or your sibling. And I think it can be so beneficial. I actually know this app called Nike Running app, and Emmy said, I feel like getting called out. I feel that. But yeah, so there's this app called Nike Running app, and they actually paired with Headspace, and
Oh,
Headspace works, or they don't work with Calm, but they're similar to apps like Calm, if you guys know that. And basically, they're just meditation apps, self-reflection apps on how we're feeling, and it's really good with being in tune with how you feel, how you might be thinking during this time, and how you can actually process it through those apps. So those apps have been tremendously helpful for me, but they actually worked with the Nike Running app. So while you're running, you can actually be listening to a wind down of your day kind of thing that some psychologist or someone who is good at talking through those points will
mhm.
walk you through your run. And it's been so healing for me.
Kimmy says that working out is so good to let her stress go, and that she does Zumba.
Oh, I think you froze.
Oh, really?
On
I
my part, you froze, but
I don't know if anyone else can hear me, but
yeah, you were talking about Kimmy,
she said
her
she does
post.
at home, and I would love to join.
It's
Um,
restless. But will you be my running buddy, Oscar? I would love to be your running buddy, Emmy. But yeah, no, I definitely after quarantine, if anyone wants to hit me up to go running, I would love to do that. Just 20 minutes of your day can be so great. And yeah, Kimmy says she likes to uh, let go of her stress by and clear her mind through Zumba at home videos. I think that's awesome. I'm glad that that's something that works for you, and I will
yeah.
have to try that in the future. Um, Emmy says what my mile time is. It's definitely decreased because I don't run for that mile time anymore. For that shirt in middle school, I don't run for that anymore. I run for just consistency. But yeah, it's been something good for me. Um,
Yeah. When quarantine first started and it wasn't like 100 degrees out every day, I was like
mhm.
going to the park right behind my house because I live like behind a hiking trail. And would just walk around over there because getting out of the house was super nice. But now it's really hot and I have lost almost all my motivation to work out because it's really hot. So doing Zumba at home is a great idea to me.
Mhm. And especially since there were smokes, there was a lot of smoke outside because of the fires lately. It's probably beneficial for a lot of people to do workouts at home.
Hmm.
So that's good. Yeah.
Inside.
And so we actually have another peer educator that will be joining us very soon. She is actually an international student, so she'll be able to give you all her perspective and her experiences during this time. And so we can all kind of have that open discussion, and how we're doing and how we're coping with things, and maybe we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna go and I'll be in the chat so that Naomi can take over. Bye guys.
Bye now. Oh, bye, Maddie. Sorry. I will try to link the Nike app. So if you actually have App Store or Play Store, I believe the Nike running app is on the App Store or the Play Store, and you just have to create an account with Nike um, when you join, and you can do the running. There's a lot of different workouts that they have, as well as running kind of guidelines that they will walk you through your run with you, and you can utilize those resources on the app, but they also have those resources with Headspace that help with winding down your day and kind of processing your day. Hi, Naomi. How are you?
Hi.
It's good to
Hi,
see you.
to see you too.
Um, yeah, how are you doing?
Um, Great. It's pretty early in the morning here in Korea. It's 5:20 a.m.
Hmm.
and yeah, I think it's going great.
You're
For
16 hours ahead of us,
hmm
in California.
hmm
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Hi.
Yeah. How has that been for you?
Sorry, I lost that. What was it?
No problem. I'm feeling the same way. I look at the chat and then I get so boggled up. But I'm just saying, like, how has that been for you? Right now it's super early, so do you want to talk about like how your experience has been during this time?
Oh, Naomi's clapping for thank you. Okay. With the pandemics and everything, I guess the time difference is one of the challenge challenges that international students face. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure because as it's like 16 hours ahead of your time, like even though it's 16 hours ahead, I just feel like I'm a bit behind of you guys. I don't know. So like because of this, during the first few weeks of the semester, I was just feeling very depressed and I lacked with motivation and it was really hard for me to keep my time. I mean, yeah, to manage my time well and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really hard, but I found my way and found a good coping mechanism. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I'm sure it's really difficult being away from California when your school is in California, and also having to balance that time zone difference as well as just a lot of the the events happening in our lives right now. So, how has have you been coping with that, or has it been have you been trying to find good ways to like kind of manage your time
Hmm.
better or motivation?
Well, first of all, it was really hard for me to communicate with APU because like I would rather have to stay up really early to get their response back like quick as
Mm-hmm.
possible or maybe like I don't know. It was really hard and confusing, but I found one of the ways that we have to get enough sleep
Mm-hmm.
because I realized sleep really makes you energetic and excite. Like the excitement and joy comes from enough sleep. So, like, I don't really set a time to go to sleep because that makes me more anxious and
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed and like it gave me like more pressure that I have to go to sleep right now. So like I couldn't go to sleep at all. But after just sleeping whenever I have time, maybe like after assignments or after class, even though it's like 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. here, I would just go to sleep because I know
Mm-hmm.
that I would need to go to sleep in like later in the day.
Yeah.
So enough sleep. Get enough sleep, people.
So have they been like more like naps too? Because they're
Yeah.
like shorter periods. Okay, okay. And that has been working for you?
Mhm.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, no, for sure, sleep is so important. I feel like as college students, we don't really prioritize that. We prioritize our deadlines. And as the deadline nears, we kind of compensate our sleep schedules for that. And of course, that happens sometimes because either we're overcommitted or we just have too much on our plate and a lot of other factors that play part. And that is okay. But I definitely agree with you that sleep is so important. And I'm glad that you're finding time within your day, within your odd time difference days, to actually prioritize your sleep and your mental health.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been able to like find any other ways of coping with your motivation or finding better ways to motivate yourself during this time?
Yeah, so after quarantine, 14 days quarantine, um, I'm very outgoing person and I like hanging out with people, but because of the virus, it kept me at home and like it just made me hopeless sometimes. So like
Yeah.
after thankfully Korea actually eased the COVID level to the lowest this week. So
Hmm.
I try to meet with my friend who's in Korea every weekend, and we would go visit cafe or just like any other places like study cafes or anything, and we
Hmm.
would just study together. And just like being with my friend just makes me a little more comfortable and excited instead of just like feeling, oh, I'm nothing, like I hate my
Yeah.
life or something like that. We would
Hmm.
definitely wear our masks and make sure to like stay um, social distancing and everything. But
Hmm.
yeah, just meeting my friend just made me a little better, I think.
Yeah. I think you covered like a really important part of just being in this pandemic. I think, oh, sorry, you froze my screen. But yeah, just having like an aspect of change in your day does help with that motivation. Like if you feel like you're going through the motions every single day, it's all the same, it might impact the way we feel and the way we stay motivated. And so definitely whether that be running or being with a friend or just small changes throughout your day, so you can have a new experience every single day and grow from those. I think that's something that's really encouraging and something that's really great. And I'm going to try that
Mhm.
as well.
And
Because
it's
I
different meeting like face to face and like this virtually. Yeah.
It's very different. I feel that. I feel that. And I think that's why it's so important to even, although like there's just so much spontaneous things that happen in our lives usually in person, so we don't really have to intentionally think about those things, and it will just happen naturally. But now we have to actually seek those things, and that's why conversations like this and learning from conversations like this is really important. Yeah. Also commend you for just being at Korea right now with a different time zone and being able to still come on to this Wellness Wednesdays conversation as well as attend your classes. I know that can be so difficult. And yeah, I just commend you for that. And every person who is living in a different time zone as well, especially that might be really hard because you have to transcribe every deadline, every due date. So I commend you for working hard and trying your best during this time.
And one more thing, I realize it's very important to stay positive. Like, no
Hmm.
matter where you are at, it's important to stay positive because just remind yourself that you can do this instead of being like, oh, I can't do this because I am behind, or maybe like, because for me, oh, I can't do this because it's too early in the morning, or like it's too late, or something like that. Like,
Hmm.
reminding yourself that you can do this and you're worth it and everything
Hmm.
just allowed me to feel way better. And
Hmm.
I think I'm not struggling with time. Well, I am struggling with time difference, of course, but like not as hard as before in the
That's
beginning.
good. And I'm sure positivity has played a part in helping you with that. Um, and yeah, no, positivity is definitely so important. It's definitely helped me a lot. And just to kind of conclude this conversation, if you, and since we're all going into testing seasons or a lot of assignments, depending on your major, you might have different focuses. Um, I feel like it's very important to have kind of, in psychology, we call it positive reinforcement, but basically, or positive reappraisals, I mean. And so basically, that's just you telling yourself you are good enough. If you need to write post-it notes and attach it to your wall or to your window or to your mirror, and every morning you see You are good enough. That grade does not determine your worth. That grade does not determine how well you'll do in your field. All of these things, and I'm sure we all have big dreams, and sometimes our test scores might discourage us, but just remember that we are living in very unique situations, and so that will definitely have an impact. But as long as you're trying your best, I'll remember my exercise in the beginning. Pat yourself. You did your best. And yeah, you were awesome. And we are all encouraging you, and we are all encouraging each other. I love that we can have these discussions together. Yeah, and Maddie said, I'm just gonna go through the chat really quick, and then I'm gonna conclude with some announcements. And so Maddie said, yes, I am so bad at math in any capacity. You being able to track the time changes for your assignments is something you should be proud of. True. 16 hours. I can't even compute that right now. I don't,
Yeah, I
are
have
you?
an app that calculates for me. You know, you can do your phone, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
would probably have to rely on that too. And then someone said advice on going through a breakup and not letting it get in between school. Um, so I just want to encourage you right now that, or I just want to say that's probably really difficult. And I honestly went through something um, really difficult with family recently that really became an impediment to school because I couldn't focus. It's all that I could think about. I was at home, and I'm sure a breakup is very similar in that it's just all you can think about. I encourage you to really self-care during this time, and if you really need to, journal really helps me. Music helps me, but whatever hobbies you have, really self-care through that because it's what you enjoy and you might be able to focus on yourself rather than focus on the situation you are in. Um,
And
yeah,
reach out to anyone, you know, if you need to talk to someone or anything. Yeah, self-care is very important.
100%. Yeah.
Hmm.
But I will be praying for you, itself. Um, and then, yeah, Naomi said some stuff as well. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to be ending this with some announcements. So as you all know that we have Wellness Wednesdays every Wednesday at 1 p.m. So if you wanted to join, we're going to be on Instagram Live. We're going to be talking with counselors, or we're going to talk amongst our peers as well. So I would love for all of us to continue this tradition of just talking about mental health, how we're coping, because we are living in very unique situations right now, and we're all in this together. Um, and then we also, next week actually, is a very special conversation with a counselor. And our friend Naomi, who's in the chat right now, she's actually going to be talking to that counselor about minority stress and multiculturalism. So if you wanted to join in that conversation, Instagram Live next week at 1 p.m. And just remember that we have Cougars Care workshops every Friday at 1 p.m. as well. That this Friday included, and we're going to be talking about becoming a better listener during this time. And that's going to be in the link in our bio, as well as if you want the direct link, it's going to be apu.edu/counseling center. And Naomi will put that in the chat. And then lastly, the National Depression Screening Day was actually last Thursday. And so just a reminder that APU offers a wide range of different screening types for broader and more specific areas like depression and anxiety. If you needed those resources, it is free for our community. So take advantage of that. And if you need anything as well, you can shoot us a questions or yeah, we're trying to be here for you during this time. And definitely utilize our resources. apu.edu/counseling center has a lot of our updates as well. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope everyone has a great week.